A week ago today, the New York Post cover story was this report about Kamala Harris and her children's book. It reads, "Cam on it. Solo kids at border welcomed with copy of Veep's book." The story got picked up by conservative media and made the rounds for a few days until the reporter admitted it was bogus. The gist of this New York Post story is that taxpayer dollars were being used to pack Kamala Harris's children's book into welcome kits for unaccompanied minors. This single photo of the book on a cot was cited as proof.
Copies of the VP's 2019 children's book handed out to kids at a shelter. Imagine if Trump gave Art of the Deal to kids in cages.
But several days after the Post story, reporter Laura Italiano tweeted this. "Today, I handed in my resignation to my editors at the New York Post. The Kamala Harris story, an incorrect story I was ordered to write and which I failed to push back hard enough against, was my breaking point." But the damage had been done, as Brian Williams recounted just a few of the sources that repeated the bogus claim, including Sean Spicer.
Barely a peep is made when the vice president's book is in a welcome gift bag. Tom Cotton piped in. Now they're forcing taxpayers to buy Kamala Harris's book. Then it was Madison Cawthorn. So the vice president will send her books to the migrants flooding our southern border, but won't send herself?
The Post has since changed its headline to read, "Kamala isn't at the southern border, but at least one migrant kid got Veep's book." They also added this editor's note, admitting only one known copy was given to a child.
The story's a lie. CNN's Daniel Dale tracked this down, and you found out just one book that had been donated to one migrant center for kids in California.
Talk about fake news. You know, Lylah, it's one thing for politicians to pick up this kind of stuff and peddle it around as kind of a partisan topic. But this is something that would not happen at the Boston Globe or the New York Times. You're not going to pick up a story from another newspaper or another news outlet without confirming it for yourself. And that's what Fox did. And Fox has a bullhorn, as we've discussed here many times, because The Five wasn't the only show at Fox that picked this up.
You're absolutely right. It's something that most editors and reporters I know would definitely seek to confirm independently before writing their own stories about it. But this is something I've said over and over, more lately than in the past. Every news outlet out there has their audience. Every news outlet out there has their choir. And the media itself has evolved to the point where we spend a lot of time preaching to and singing to our own choirs. They know what their readers want, and they're happy to deliver it. My heart goes out to this reporter, though. Yeah. At the same time, she knows where she works. She knows who owns the company. She knows what she was ordered to write. She says she failed to push back against it hard enough, but I'm not sure what her recourse really would have been. Push back really hard, you lose your job. Don't push back enough, you lose your reputation. It's a horrible situation to be in.
It is indeed, and I feel for that reporter as well. What's the old saying about a lie can travel halfway around the world before the truth can get its boots on? I think that that's a little bit of what was going on here, that in this age of social media and very polarized media, one inaccurate story got picked up and then trumpeted to the audiences that Lylah was talking about. What I think we need to know, and I think this is one of the most fascinating stories of the week, what we need to know is who ordered this at the Post? What will the consequences be? This is almost like a smoking gun about the Murdochs. Will the Murdochs do anything? And it also begs the question, she said, this was my breaking point. So what other things have gone under or over the dam that we don't know about, that we haven't picked up on? So these are, to me, all very troubling questions, and it makes people distrust media, and I think in this case, justifiably so.
Yeah, and I think it goes beyond this particular news outlet. I think it should hopefully open the discussions, but because I think it happens on both sides, right? We've seen this happen before. And I think it's going to, we'll hear more stories of reporters feeling pressured because one media outlet has a certain editorial kind of stance and their point of view or something that they're writing is kind of pushed off to the side and they can't really follow that story as the way they either like to or they think it's really more accurate. So I think this is the beginning. Hopefully, I'd love to say that this is the beginning of many more of these stories because as we become more and more polarized as media outlets, you really start to see the very, very marked difference between, progressive media outlets over here and, conservative over here. And I think what's left in the middle, where are the good old days of just objective journalists and the public having that trust? I think that's to your point, that's why we've lost, or the public has lost so much trust in us.
Well, this is how the Murdoch media machine works. You get it into the lowest form of the Murdoch media, the New York Post, and then it becomes a talking point for Fox News. And from there, it spreads throughout the rest of the right-wing media universe. The exact same thing happened last fall when Rudy Giuliani and Steve Bannon peddled their unverifiable Hunter Biden laptop story to the Fox News journalists. They rejected it. They said, we can't report this. So they took it to the Post. The Post ran it. And then it goes right back to Fox, where it became fodder for their primetime opinion shows. Former Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull recently denounced the way the Murdoch family is undermining democracy in the United States, in Australia, and around the world. And we'll bring up the First Amendment again. It's very hard to do anything about it. But the fact is, this is a serious problem for our democracy.